Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Izzy Cinematic Escape on YouTube. I'm your host Izzy. Anyone who is new to the channel, just happen to find it through the YouTube search engine, feel free to hit the subscribe button below and spread the word to your friends and family if possible. I would greatly appreciate it. Anyone who isn't new and has been here from the very beginning since I started this channel, thank you, and I hope you all continue to enjoy my work and spread the word if possible as well. Today's review, given that it is the 1st of October and it is exactly 4 p.m., I want to go ahead and review, given that is the tradition. You cannot simply go through the month of October or even on Halloween and not watch this film. It is the 1978 Halloween, directed by John Carpenter. One of the classic examples of what happens when someone creates a horror film that has transcended time itself and is still highly revered within the critic community and the horror community. And still, I can remember when I first watched this film, my first introduction actually came from my mom when she told me that when her and my dad first met on their first date, they went and watched Halloween in 1978 at a drive-in theater. And at the time, she often told me that this was literally the scariest horror film of all time in 1978 by 1978 standards. And at the time, it's not that I didn't believe her, but I just could remember watching Friday the 13th, Hellraiser, Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Puppet Master films, and I didn't necessarily find myself believing that I would be afraid of this film. I didn't watch the first Halloween until I was about 12 or 13, if I'm not mistaken, when we first moved to California. And she rented it for me one night, and I remember just feeling such a sincere form of fear within me that I slept with the lights on. I did sleep with the lights on. I'm not ashamed to admit, of course, I was 13 then, and I could watch Halloween now and not feel any form of after effect as far as the horror is concerned. But other than that, this film is a true, perfect example of how to create true horror without having to rely on gimmicks. And that's the beautiful thing about films of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, is the fact that it's not so much relying on gimmicks or gore or violence or blood. It's just we're using the tools that we have on hand and we're creating magic out of it. Anyone who's familiar with the 1978 horror Halloween knows exactly what the story is about. Michael Myers, at the age of 6, murders his sister for reasons unknown and is placed into a mental institution in Hatfield. And on Halloween night, the night before Halloween, he escapes that mental institution and he is returning to Hatfield and causing all kinds of chaos and stalking Laurie Strode, the babysitter, we simply do not know why he stalked her, why he has such an obsession with her, and that's what makes it horrifying. And anyone who is familiar with the film knows that it stars Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence, and still, the two iconic forms of superstardom in horror is still to this very day something that has not been replaced as far as their chemistry and the magic is concerned. Donald Pleasence does an amazing job as Dr. Samuel Loomis, who is when you think about the relationship between him and Michael, it is the yin and the yang aspect, is the fact that you have Dr. Loomis, who has attempted to explain to people why Michael is so dangerous and why he feels the need to attempt to protect the citizens of Hatfield, and going through such lengths in order to prove his theories and prove his facts. Do you have Michael, who, as I mentioned, you don't know exactly why he is the way he is, except the fact that when Dr. Loomis provides that beautiful monologue within the middle of the film where he says that he looked within that boy's eyes and simply stated that all he saw was purely and simply evil. You don't know what made Michael evil, and that's what makes it so horrifying. Aside from the fact that as much as I loved Rob Zombie and I love his films, I've always felt that for him to provide a backstory for the character of Michael removes the sincere horror element and it made him more of a sympathetic, sentimental character rather than something that you need to be afraid of. Michael, in this context of the film, is something, I think that's what scared me the most, is the fact that, once again, is grounded in a very realistic sense, is that this is something that you feel like that can happen to you or someone that you care about. These are people that are living within our society and you simply do not know who they are. This is someone that could be walking by you at a mall, at a movie theater, at a restaurant, at a gym, or just down the street, or even your own neighborhood, and you don't know who they are. You don't know what's living within the very psyche of their being. And that's what makes Halloween such a beautiful, remarkable horror film. the fact that, once again, you don't simply have any idea as to what pushes Michael, other than the fact that he is the personification of what is true, what is defined as true evil. Another element that I love about this film is how it is all about the subtleties. It's not about the jump scares. It's not about the gore. It's not about the violence. And given that it's literally one of the most bloodless films that you ever watched in your life, and there's hardly any gore, it's all about the tension. It's all about the carnage. It's all about the terror. And that is what true horror does. It leaves that lasting, cementing impression that will never leave you. And Halloween 1978 has still never left me. And no matter how many, whenever someone asks me what's my favorite film of all time, I always say Starman and Halloween. And both of them, ironically, directed by John Carpenter, if you can imagine that. My two favorite films of all time are directed by John Carpenter, Starman and Halloween. And Halloween is still, it doesn't even come close. It is still my favorite horror film of all time, bar none. I don't think anything will ever replace that for me personally. Another beautiful element that I love about this film is how John Carpenter manages to create a true sense of cold tension when Michael is stalking Laurie throughout the course of the film. And again, it's just one of those moments where you simply do not know exactly what is driving him. And it's the fear of the unknown is what's more horrifying, is the fact that there's no answer for it. And when you think of once it gets to the crescendo of the film and you have the final confrontation, if you will, between Laurie and Michael, it's just, that sequence alone is horrifying. Just absolutely beautiful. And just when you think that Michael is down and out, he continues to just keep coming in a persistent fashion. And Jamie Lee Curtis's portrayal of capturing the true fear that Laurie is exhibiting is, bar none, still a classic indication of what really is, when you think about it, she is the first scream queen, if you will. And Nick Castle's portrayal as the Shape, as Michael, is still one of the most iconic performances of all time, just bar none. Halloween 1978, one of the greatest films of all time. And you know what? And in actuality, the music, I can remember the music scared me more than the film itself. I think that's what really made me that much more terrified, is the fact that the music is so hauntingly beautiful that it sends chills up the spine. I could watch Halloween now and listen to the theme song and not feel any kind of fear whatsoever and still go to sleep at night. But for me, at the age of 12 or 13, I want to say, I slept with the lights on. I mean, the film is still remarkably scary, frightening, and is a true execution of what horror is all about, in my opinion. Again, Halloween 1978, classic from beginning to end, absolutely perfect. I recommend it. I've done this review before on my Facebook in written format, but I wanted to convert it to a YouTube video, as I felt that it was perfect, given that I felt, again, it's October 1st. Halloween is not too far away, so I felt, why not go ahead and just do this review for Halloween 1978. That's my review of Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and feel free to spread the word about my channel. Provide a like on my YouTube if you want to. Provide a comment on my Facebook and my YouTube if you want to as well. I hope you guys continue to do well, and you'll be hearing from me again. Take care, and peace out.